XRP.
Hi Empire. Hi Gaura, how going at Jekyll? I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheaper than his XRP. Hi George, all fine with me, a little bit tired again. I don't know, maybe the hot weather. Let's finish the song, I'll be 30 seconds late. Hallo Peter. Hello everybody, let's get started. I'm actually today listening to you guys. Tell me what you think about two things. One thing is that Indian engineer from Ripple who told that Ripple is basically installing Xcurrent in all the banks. Is it all the banks or is it all the customer banks from Ripple? That's the thing number one I wanna know from you guys. And the other thing is, I really hope everyone saw that video from that guy Nugent, I think. This interview, I think he did it yesterday, which went, or maybe the day before, where he was talking about cryptocurrency regulation. I really would like to hear your opinion on that. I hope everyone can hear me. Let me repeat, I forgot. I have no financial interests, I have no sponsored links, and I don't want any donation. Hello Peter. You have been waiting for my commentary. Good. Hello user, hello robot, hello butterfly. Well, that's what I have been thinking. I mean, that basically that the Indian guy meant that they were installing Xcurrent in all the banks which are Ripple customers. But everyone understood in all the banks in India. But I mean, I have read today, I think it was in actually I don't remember. I think the link came at least from Twitter, that I'm pretty sure. There was I think it was from XRP boy or something, and it was about a statement from, I think, Navin Gupta in somewhere August, September last year, where Navin Gupta basically said that he talked about the strategy of Ripple in India, that they first were basically targeting all banks, and then they changed their strategy, focused on the top 3 banks, which would give them about, I don't know, 80% of the market share, and then focus on the telecom providers, because there is still a lot of unbanked people in India, and most likely there will be a system similar to this system in Africa, where I lost the name. Mochaloop. There in Africa they have 2 systems. Mbeza, something like that, I think. And another one. And Mochaloop is basically interconnecting the telecom providers there, and helping everyone to kind of sort of get banked, and that was my understanding. They do have 80% of the banks already, Empire. That's what you think. Is that based on fact, or is that based on that tweet or statement from Navin Gupta? Yes, Peter. These spikes happen almost every hour. I checked 3 hours today, I saw it once. I think it was somewhere in the afternoon. Mpesa, thank you, Gaurav. Juicy, bis am Donnerstag. Hallo XRP Heart. Hi Lambi. Has Paytm. Gaurav, can you explain? Like India has a similar system as the M-Pesa. Hello, Manuel. Because that's how I understood. But I mean, even if it's not all the banks, I mean, hi Timmy Chimi, I'm pretty sure the adoption rate in India will be quite massive. Okay, now second question regarding this. Okay, let's give Gaurav more. It's a banking mobile. So Gaurav, this Paytm is similar to M-Pesa then, more or less on a high level. Well, I think in that statement, Empire, they thought about how they could approach the Indian people, but I think that was not really they were going to give each Indian one XRP. I think it was more like an idea how they could do it. I have no clue. Gaurav, are you from India? Do you know how many banks are there in India? No, go and check. Don't worry about that. You will always be able to sell your XRP. Okay, now, okay, Gaurav tells about 22 banks. Well, I'm assuming those are most likely the national or international banks in India. Maybe there is more smaller banks like in Switzerland. If you did ask me how many banks we have in Switzerland, I'd say, I don't know, maybe 10, 15. But incidentally, I think, I don't know, it's maybe 50 or so. There is many small banks focused on asset management for the rich guys and stuff. And those ones I basically have no clue about. But it's also not those ones we care about. Okay, now let's turn to this other topic. English to me already mentioned it. this Muchin, let me read. About Muchin, they seem to imply they're building something as if we have not heard of it yet the last year. Yes, I mean, isn't that interesting to everyone actually, not just to English, to me, that still, I mean, every time they talk about crypto, they talk about Bitcoin, sometimes about Ethereum, and that's it. They never talk about Ripple, they never talk about XRP. That's really weird, really weird. Yes, Lambi, in US I know there is quite a lot of banks. I made it, let me recap where I did. On eToro, on the platform where I'm trading. I started a little thread in that social area there, and then there was a guy. I made a riddle. I just said 28. We're going there, or it's coming, or something. I don't remember. And they started figuring out what I was trying to tell, and I was trying to explain that we will end up at 28 cents today, and incidentally we did. But one guy he basically mentioned a credit union, which was, I don't know if I remember properly, the 28th largest bank in the world. And this word credit basically ringed bell on me, and this is actually information I don't know if every one of you knew. One of the first XRP customers, which we could say that it's a bank, but actually it's not a bank, it's a credit union, was Corporate Catalyst Credit Union, I think is the proper name. And this company is kind of like the umbrella company for 1,400 credit unions throughout US. And I think last week Finastra, one of those companies I did a research early last year upon regarding the superhighway, Finastra has a tool similar to Temenos. It's called, I think they have two versions. One is, I think it's called Pay Plus Fusion, and the other one Pay Plus, I think Pay Plus, yes. And no, one is called Finastra Fusion, I guess, and the other one Finastra Pay Plus. And I think both those tools, one is for smaller banks where they will be able to have a solution in the cloud for their banking stuff, and the other one is more like to have it on premise, like on hardware in your own enterprise. And both of these systems are RippleNet enabled since 2015 actually. And in that tweet from Finastra they said 1,400 banks, or actually credit unions, will be real-time enabled. And I mean, okay, could be that they're using this RTP, this real-time payments network in US, but there is people, most famously Darren Moore, he very strongly believes that even they use ILP or RippleNet somehow. However, I believed that too for quite some time, until recently when I figured there is a little difference between credit settlement and a debit settlement, and RTP does credit settlement, and RippleNet and ILP does basically debit settlement. And I asked on Twitter what's the difference, and then no answer. As always, when I have an interesting question, no one has a freaking clue about it. Then I googled a little bit myself, and incidentally, I think but this is unconfirmed. I think it's more or less the same. It's just a different perspective, like a little bit similar, like Nostro Vostro, which is the same account. Once I'm talking about my money in your bank, then it's Nostro, and when you're talking about my money in your bank, then it's Vostro, because it's mine, not yours. If you were speaking French or Latin, you'd easily know. So now, okay, that was kind of like a side remark. Now let's coming back to this regulation stuff with this Nugent, I think was the guy. Nugent. Who has seen the full video? Really interesting. That I really liked the way he was talking about all that stuff, especially the Q&A session or section at the end, where he was kind of bombarded with too many questions, non-crypto, which were not crypto related, and he gave strict order. Primarily, first he will answer all the crypto related questions, and once there was no more crypto related questions, he answered some of the other questions. But on some, he basically said it's not for me to issue an opinion or a statement on that, because the person they were asking about is actually the person who should give that particular information. Okay, so far for that. Yeah, I think that I don't know, it's not really an interview. How do you call that? That the speech of that Nugent was quite interesting, and also interesting was the 7 tweets long tweet from Brad Garlinghouse thereafter, referring to that speech, where he basically explained that Ripple has been working with regulators from day one, and I'm pretty sure that we really don't need to worry when it comes towards regulation. I mean, I've basically been saying that all the time. US may be a little bit more strict on that when it comes to KYC and AML requirements, but I don't know if you heard Ripple, I don't remember how that partnership was, if they just partnered with a company or bought some percentage of their stock, I don't remember, but there is a company which is specialized in anti-money laundering, like, let's call it detective work. They're basically looking at blockchains and trying to see pattern where anti-money laundering activities are kind of happening, and by engaging with that company, Ripple kind of makes sure that they're safe on that side as well. Q2 report should be out this week. Usually it's around 15th. I don't know. Let's see, maybe tomorrow. And if it is delayed, could be that there is a reason for that. I really don't know. Julian Ballatoni, Libra. I mean, basically, it's not a problem to which it's tethered or packed or backed. As long as it's a global DLT solution, it's basically available in the whole world. Like, you carry it basically with you, and you will be able to pay stuff anywhere in the world with it. No, that's really not something you have to worry about. But that's kind of like basics for blockchain and DLT technology. User 77836. After the press conference of Steven Mnuchin, I'm quite confident, especially after the tweets that he had prior contact with him by phone. I'm pretty sure as well. Mnuchin's name. Who? Me. Can I pronounce it properly? Mnuchin. I really don't know if I pronounce it properly. He said level playing field and mentioned MoneyGram. That was another interesting thing. But guys, I mean, there was a time when I also kind of got hyped when some of those guys were talking about the level playing field. It is a little bit how should I say? It is a little bit strange that everyone is talking about the level playing field. Trump, IMF, World Bank, BIS, central bankers, Mark Carney, I think I heard talking about the level playing field. All the people from Ripple talk about the level playing field. But after all, please correct me, a level playing field is basically the idiom to actually tell what you want to tell, that you want the level playing field. I don't know any other idiom which could be basically understood by anyone else. So after I figured that, I got enlightened on that it's actually an idiom very often used by English-speaking people. I'm not so sure if they really all refer to XRP or so, but most likely it is so anyway. I mean, Marco Almeida, in a year, I don't know, end of this year, if all goes well, between 1,700 and 5,000, I'm pretty sure. Like 4 digits in that area. Someone liked that gesture of mine. Bonjour Michel, tu as rajouté le 18 volontairement sur les mails de SPI. Oui, j'ai rajouté le 18 volontairement. C'était une fake, j'entends algo. Is SPI likely to lead to any price movements you feel? No, definitely not until the end of the year, CSC Bain. The price will rise. And if what we all believe, this price manipulation stops, and that's actually something I would like to come out of regulation. Get rid of all those crypto pairs, like basically enable just crypto fiat pairs for everything, because then you can measure an ADA coin or a Cardano coin or whatever, a Tron coin based on dollars and can compare it to something else. As long as everything is connected or paired with Bitcoin, they all rise and fall more or less simultaneously, and that's something I would like to see to come out of regulation, that they also make a level playing field there, that they basically give each and every coin the same, I don't know, rights to perform or underperform, however you wanna see that. That's one thing I wanna see from regulation. And I don't know how it is in stock markets, but in cryptos we know quite well there is, I think one technique is called wash trading and the other I think spoofing, if I remember properly, And spoofing is I put the sell order at $2 or and then this bot puts a sell order at a higher, like a lower sell order. So basically, if you really want to sell, you have to even go lower, which basically moves the price down. And as soon as you cancel your order, because you see there is like too many orders before you, then those orders are like going away, like blown with the wind. And this kind of manipulation strategy, I would like to be controlled and regulated as well. That's AML and KYC might be interesting for US. Manuel has an interesting question. Which cryptocurrency has the most couplings to the fiat currencies? Honestly, I do think it's still Bitcoin. However, I don't know. XRP has also quite some, I think 42 or 43 in the meantime. And coming back to the question from CSC Bain regarding the movement from the price movement when SBI goes live. If this price manipulation can and will be stopped, at least for XRP, I'm pretty sure we will see lower dollars pretty soon, like $1, $2, maybe $3, maybe $4, something like that. Lemby, yes. The one thing you always have to figure, or to be sensitive about, or sensible. I always mix those two because in German they have exactly the opposite meaning. Anyway, let me try to give an example. Maybe some of you remember that speech from Donald Trump. I think it was about 3.5 weeks back. He was talking about healthcare. And in the middle of that speech, towards the end, he made a pause and he said, on an unrelated note, we will announce something very important in about 2.5 weeks. And the whole XRP community, yeah, XRP, regulation, blah, blah, blah. I mean, don't get blind and short-sighted. I mean, just because we think it's important and it has to come, not every level playing field means it'll be XRP and RippleNet and whatever. I mean, maybe they're just talking about ILP, knowing that XRP will be the best digital token to bridge other assets, so to speak. This I don't know, but we shouldn't, in all those statements, like assume they're always thinking and talking about XRP. Sometimes I'm also falling into that thing. They're talking about XRP and Ripple. Maybe not always. Many times maybe correct, but surely not all the time. Butterfly trader, 4 digits, yes. Marco, why will hell freeze over? Actually, got my icy skates ready. I don't expect to see much. I don't think they will. I mean, they will open it for all those, I don't know, millions of customers in the same time. But for sure, they will not, like the minute they open, they will not go and do something. For some it may take 1 or 2 days. I mean, it's literally just us nerds which would be waiting for like the push button and then go log in and buy. But let's say my parents, they wouldn't care buying next day or so. They wouldn't care. Marco, do you think hell freeze over cause of too much rich people? I tweeted that about 2 weeks back. It'll be at $1,000. It'll be, I think, 350,000 new millionaires, more or less, plus minus 20%, something around that. Actually, plus 20%, because those ones for sure will be millionaires. However, I was talking to a workmate today after lunch when we took our walk to digest a little bit, and I told him most people totally forget that wealth worldwide is not measured in like liquid fiat you have laying around. Jeff Bezos is only one of the richest persons in the world because he has a lot of Amazon stock. In Switzerland, one of the richest companies, Familie Blocher, they're about 4 to 5 billion worth. But they wouldn't be able to buy a yacht in the Mediterranean Sea for 500 million. No way, they don't have that liquidity. They would need to sell their stock, and by selling so much stock, the price of the stock would drop. So in order to actually get 500 million, they would need to sell even more, and the stock would drop even further. And I mean, I'm not saying that this will happen with XRP as well, but the guy with, let's say, 100,000 XRP, and there are quite some, I think around 10,000 or so have more than 100,000 XRP. But I mean, those guys, they will not cash out 100,000. They will, I don't know, cash out maybe 10,000 or 15,000 or as much as they need. But they will not, anyone will cash. I mean, maybe the small investors which have 500, that might be that they will sell everything in one go. But those guys getting really freaking rich, they will not do that. It's the same with Bitcoin. Those who got really rich with Bitcoin, they still today have like, I don't know, a few hundred Bitcoins or maybe a few thousand. Horse is limping, yes. CSC Bain, well, that's what I am expecting from manipulation, that they will also go after those price manipulators, those bots which do those wash and spoof trading actions, because that's definitely not allowed. Maybe, I don't know if you know a trader, a stock trader, maybe even better, a person who is into bot trading on stocks. I don't know if that's anyway available there. I have no clue. But then if it's available, ask that guy about the rules in stock trading, if it's allowed to do this spoofing and wash trading. Actually, let me make a note. I will investigate that a little bit more, maybe for next Tuesday. Is wash and spoof trading prohibited in stock trading? I will investigate that and come back next Tuesday. UBS is a Ripple customer, Manuel Bachung. It was actually one of the first. Everyone will kiss the ground if it hits 1K. I mean, most of the people will not even believe it if it hits $40. That's already 100 times the money you most likely have invested. Let's say $50. If it gets to 500, it'll be like 1,000 times the money most people have invested if they didn't invest in 2016 already, with some of my followers have. But that's literally just a small amount of the people. Yeah. Yes, please, never, Marco, you should never, thank you XRP Heart, never ever tell anyone how many XRP you have. Your life and the life of your family could be at risk. I mean, in Switzerland, I don't really see that as a big problem, but in poorer countries, that might really be a threat, that someone is kidnapping your dog, your kid, your wife, whatever, and asking for money. So Marco, never ever, and this is for everyone, never ever tell anyone how much XRP you have. Harry B, do you think I don't understand your question, Harry B. Do you think the price what causes? I don't understand that question. Julian Balatoni, I mean, any digital asset is available worldwide. That's the nature of DLT. That's why it's called distributed ledger technology. If, let's assume, all shops in the whole wide world would accept XRP, I wouldn't need an account in Switzerland and an account in US and an account in Thailand or whatever. I just would need my whatever wallet, be it Elipal, which I can really recommend, or Ledger, whatever. As long as I have my wallet and that stuff with me, I can use it anywhere, because basically it doesn't even move. It's just there. It's like, it's not geographically put somewhere, Julian. I hope you understand that. Manuel, which numbers tell me that XRP should be higher and is manipulated? I mean, come on. We have like literally at least one major announcement every week. If XRP was a stock, we would be easily at $40 or something. Easily. Gio, the exchanges will be able to handle the load. Don't worry about that. It's, as I said, it's not so many people who have XRP, and they will be able to handle. And even regarding the cash, some people ask, will exchanges have that cash? No, they don't. But it's also not their cash. It's the cash from the buyer of your XRP. They receive and then they pay you out. Okay, so as long as there is a buyer, and through XRP there will be a buyer, you will be able to sell. Lambi, I'm 100% sure. My Lambi is asking if I'm sure that other banks are ready to use XRP. Well, for one, as long as there is one XRapid installation in a country or in a currency zone like Euro, that's basically enough. From there it can go via Xcurrent from the sender or to the receiving bank. So not everyone needs to have XRapid. And in my superhighway theory, I basically was talking about those partnerships with those payment software providers and gateway providers. I think it's about 10 or 12 of those. dLocal, EarthPod, Volante, Temenos, CGI, Task Group, Finastra, and others, which I right now don't remember. And I'm pretty sure customers of those companies, Ripple doesn't count as their customers. Ripple will receive a certain fee for those customers from those other companies being able to use their software as kind of like a license fee, but it will not be Ripple's customer. Ripple's customer is just that system integrator, basically. Sonja, hoi Sonja, heute ist Englisch, nicht Deutsch. Hoi meine Liebe. Maybe I missed her. My wife knows my number. Am I in danger? I don't know. My wife knows our number. Hi Giuseppe. I always thought you were me, a woman, because of my long hair or what? I mean, I have quite a deep voice, no? Then again, you still could be. How do you see price development this year? Harry B, if you follow me, if you check my other videos, I mean, it all depends on utility, but with 1% of the global cross-border transactions being on RippleNet or ILP, we will end up somewhere between $500 and $1,000. That I'm pretty sure by the end of the year. At 10%, it'll be between 1,700 and 5,000, possibly even more. And if all those financial systems do want to achieve what in this famous slide from Eris with ILP in the center and all payment systems on one side and all like huge companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, SAP and whatever on the other side, if that should happen until 2025, that we have like the faster payment task force in US is calling it a ubiquitous, I think it's called, payment system worldwide, where it's as easy as sending a text message today, it will be sending money in the future. If they want to achieve that by 2025, then they better get going. They have to. There is this famous 80-20 rule, 20% effort, 80% result, and the remaining 20% result, you need to invest 80% effort. So usually it starts slow and then it rises steep and then it drops off, like, and the longer it takes, the less result you will get, basically. And this is kind of like a universal pattern. And I mean, we know the slow rise we have seen now already with the X-current usage. I mean, Santander and I think it's called SEB, some Swedish banks. Some Swedish bank had in 2017 already, I think in 6 months, they sent about $2 billion via X-current 2 years ago. Banco Santander, I read today in a tweet, they're already, or did already last year, transfer about 50% of their whole cross-border payments via X-current. So it's just the next step, having all that money go through XRP. And I mean, we still have a few months to go, and I have 15 minutes to go. Lemby, yes, you're correct. Swift is just a messaging system, and the settlement is done differently. Actually, the settlement is done via the CLS group, continuous linked settlement, I think it's called. I always confuse it. CSL or CLS. I think it's CLS banks. It's about the top, I don't know, 30 banks in the world. From Switzerland, it's UBS and Credit Suisse. It's those banks who are basically the banks who have the nostros in banks in the other countries, because only those banks have the potency, I hope that's correctly spelled, to have that much money in another country, which is just dormant capital. Same as basically Brad Garlinghouse always says. Now I lost my thread. Exactly. And actually, about, I don't know, 8 months back, when I was talking quite a lot about liquidity and market mechanics and stuff, there was a guy nagging me, who will buy XRP on the other hand of the transaction? Where will the money come from? And eventually I figured I could imagine that those CLS banks provide the money, because those guys are the guys who have the liquidity today. Why shouldn't it be them providing the liquidity for those XRP, I mean the fiat liquidity, not the XRP liquidity? There needs always to be someone who pays fiat, so that the fiat can go to the recipient. And maybe those CLS banks will have that role. And coming back to the question from Lambi or Yambi, I think it's Lambi. The settlement could also be seen as being done via R3, Corda Settler. I mean, ILP could be another method, but honestly speaking, when you're using RippleNet and ILP, you don't even need Swift anymore, because on RippleNet and ILP, payment and settlement is parallel. It happens in the same time. The moment the payment is paid, so to speak, it's also settled. It happens in the same moment. So there will not be the requirement anymore for a messaging system. Even more so as the messaging system of RippleNet is bidirectional. Like, you try to send money to a bank account, I don't know, in Brazil, but you should give the birth date of the recipient, and you forget to do that. Swift has no clue about that. It sends the money gets sent back to you with the maybe you don't even know why the money got back, but in RippleNet before you actually send the money, this mechanism tells you actually what information is missing. And then you fill the missing information, then you can be sure that the settlement goes through. I hope that clears it, Lambi. Yes, Gio, I'm pretty sure we're not too far away from skyrocketing. My wife is waiting for vacations. She wants to go to Africa, Greece with a boat, with a yacht. India, she wants to see the Taj Mahal, polar lights. I think it's called polar lights. Those fancy lights in the north of Finland and stuff. And just for the fun of it, if we need new whiskey, she wants to go with a helicopter to Scotland to buy new whiskey. That's actually pretty funny to think that maybe stupid stuff. I don't think we will do that many times here, but maybe once, just for the sake of it, might be pretty nice, just to see how it goes. Do something like pretty stupid. Butterfly trader. There is two reasons, I think, why I'm the only one with those high price predictions. Either they're afraid of doing that and then kind of receiving remorse when it's not coming true. I really don't care, because I always say it's not a price prediction. I always say it depends on utility. It's what I think utility requires. And I'm pretty sure that we will have that utility. And the second thing, Butterfly Trader, is I think I'm the only one who did all those point of views. I really heard not anyone else talking about I don't know, anything which is basically more market related. Most have no clue that. Most think because XRP is a global thing, XRP is globally available. That's basically correct. But incidentally, if an XRP transaction goes through Bittrex, and on Bittrex are just, I don't know, just an example, just 50,000 XRP available for sell, then the transaction won't happen. So either Bittrex needs to make sure that they do have enough XRP to ensure every XRapid transaction can take place, or the price needs to go high. It doesn't matter. That's the problem most don't get. Most think it's a global pool of supply, but it's not. XRapid is like an exchange user, like you going to Coinbase or Bitstamp, Binance, whatever, Bittrex, any other exchange. XRapid goes there and buys XRP in the amount of the fiat value which needs to be delivered to the destination address. And because we're talking about billions being transferred, there need to be billions on those exchanges. I mean, when we take a look at Ledger Exposed, I think I checked today around this 100,000 XRP figure I told you about. It's roughly around 10,000, bit more than 10,000 accounts have more than 100,000 XRP, and the total amount of those, I don't know, 12,000 accounts is, I think, close to 50 billion, 48 billion or so. All other accounts, and it's I think less than 7% of all accounts, all other 93% of the accounts who have less than 100,000 XRP hold together 3 billion XRP, okay? 3 billion. Now, if XRP, let's say, gets to 100 or so, maybe half of those will think, oh, I will not sell everything, I will just sell part of it because that's fine for the time being, which will reduce the supply, the liquid supply, even further. It's not the total supply which is important. And then from those, I don't know, 1.4 million people with those 3 billion XRP in total, we have, I don't know, about 100 exchanges worldwide. Let's say we have about 20 big ones, and those 3 billion XRP are distributed among those 20 exchanges. Maybe the top 5 exchanges have 1.5 billion, which means each of them have 300 million XRP. How can you do 10 transactions a day over 1 billion if there is only 300 million XRP available on that exchange? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Price needs to go high. I hope that is clear now. Harry B, BACT may have some speculative impact, but I deem it less strong than SBI or utility. Might bring 50% or so of the current price, but I'm not calculating hundreds or even thousands of percent when BACT go live. And by the way, the 22nd of July they only start testing, and I think not even with crypto. I think it's indexes of crypto, if I remember properly. Emonti, how they will replace Nostro Vostro? Well, yes, according to Shane Ellis, they do. Even more so if the price of XRP goes high. CSB Bain has an interesting question. If the banks are using Xcurrent, what are the benefits to the bank to then use XRP? Well, basically, the transaction is faster, even more faster than just with fiat to fiat, and it's cheaper because there won't be any fee regarding Nostro related. That's the whole point. Nostro, maintenance cost of Nostro is freaking high. I did a rough calculation a few months or a few weeks back that but this number is a little bit unconfirmed now, but Brett Garlinghouse has for over a year been talking about 23 trillion in Nostros. Lately they're talking about 10 trillions. My calculation was based on the $20 trillion in Nostros worldwide. And I think that costs the whole world roughly 200 billion yearly. That's freaking amount of money for nothing. I mean, it just helps to move money But with XRP, the money can move free. So basically, the nostrils can be dissolved and the whole world will save every fucking year $200 billion. That's the benefits to the banks and the countries, because with Basel III the banks need to have higher capital, I don't know how it's called, capital backing for their assets or whatever. So let me check Aura Boreal. Obrigado, Sonia. Aura Borealis clipboard told it as well. Maybe she's still listening. And as Liam Ivy, no one knows. I really don't know. Yes, love for crypto things for 5 to 10,000 in 2025. Because they, as I mentioned before, they don't get they always do those calculations based on the global total supply and not on the total on the supply on a particular exchange, and they always take into account that an XRP transaction can be done in 4 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, so that an XRP can be used so many times. But that's not totally true. For one, an XRapid transaction takes about 2 minutes, because 1 minute only the negotiation needs to take place, and then let's say if the user waits another minute until he pushes the button, okay, I accept these conditions. So like minutes the XRP is away from the table, because it kind of needs to be reserved until there is a rejection for that transaction proposal or a commitment where the XRP then actually flows. And then comes all those retail investors like us. I mean, let's assume XRP shoots to $20 and the whole world gets to know, oh wow, huge gains to be made on XRP, and everyone buys at $20. They will not sell at $20 and $50. They will wait for $50 or $80. So basically all that is not liquid XRP anymore. They will hoard it. The only guys who may use XRP multiple times a day are market makers, those CLS banks I mentioned before. That's literally the only institutions. But I mean, even those will, I'm 100% sure, not hold enough XRP in order to be able to I mean, they have to have reserves. And in Europe alone, we have about every 8 minutes, I think, or every 12 minutes, a transaction in the value of more than 1 billion with B. I think it's every 8 minutes. Even, I think it's under 200 transactions a day. Do your calculations. And that, I mean, that's exactly the point, Lamb. 100 billion might not be enough. That's why the price will rise freaking high. Going Jackal, that was going on. You're asking someone, maybe it was you before, who asked already. Let me answer that as a last question. Someone asked, and going at Jackal as well, if the XRapid partner exchanges do have enough XRP in order to be able to make sure all the XRapid transaction will go through. I'm pretty sure I think it was end of November, I think during about a week we have seen, like, I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong, I'm just saying figures now, at least 10 exchanges receiving somewhere around a billion XRP, sometimes in 2 transactions at 500 million, sometimes in 5 transactions at 200 million, sometimes in 100 transactions at, I don't know, 10 million. There was really a lot of XRP being moved around. I mean, you have to know that Ripple doesn't just have the XRP from escrow. They also have XRP which isn't in escrow, okay? So yes, they do have a lot of XRP, that I'm pretty sure, but it will never, I mean, when you have every 8 minutes a transaction over $1 billion, you will need to have that liquidity. If you just have 1 billion XRP after 8 minutes, you're end of the game. You cannot receive any XRapid transactions anymore. You have to wait if someone is willing to sell a billion. But how many people actually do have a billion? Well, maybe the CLS member bank who bought a million, but maybe they don't have the fiat with which it should come in at your in your country. So okay. Good night. Question is how the price will get high. Yes, well, interesting questions today. Thanks everyone. I will investigate this spoof and wash trading for the next Tuesday English live stream, and if I can do that research already before, I will talk about it in the German live stream on Thursday. I thank you for your confidence, for your persistence, that you stay with me. I wish you a nice rest of the week, and don't get nervous when we see that drop today. It's really nothing. I don't care. I know it'll go high. Take care, everyone.